Alright guys, this video is going to go over how to perform a single leg press to biceps the quads. So first of all, when we're thinking about any movement, we first want to think about the setup of the machine itself. Here what I recommend is if the back pad's adjustable, which there may be with a lever behind the back pad, pull it, set it so it's as upright as possible, and what that will allow you to do is get lower down without running out of range of motion at the ankle joint, so make sure that's all the way up. And as for the back pad, when you're setting this up, put it so it's as flat as you possibly can. The only caveat to this is some machines will bottom out early, stopping you get full bend in the knee if the back pad's too far down. In that case, what you can do is you can fold a yoga mat, place it at the bottom of the machine, or put a plate or anything else suitable so it moves you further towards the plate so you can get more range of motion. So now we've got the machine set up, we now want to think about our foot placement. So because this is a single leg, you'll typically want to have your feet a bit narrower. If you've got a lifting Olympic shoes, this would be a great tool to use on this movement. So my leg's somewhat in line with my hip. It's not outside my hip, it's not inside it. Round about in line with the hip joint. And from here, what we want to think about is slight lateral flexion. In other words, slight lean to the working side. Pull down hard on the handle. When I'm doing a working set here, I will actually use lifting straps because it allows me to pull myself down, make myself more stable, and allow me to perform well with the target muscle. Especially if you're doing a lot of reps, your grip can get tired, especially if you're pulling yourself hard enough to make yourself super stable. So what I think about here is I'll strap up and then turn rack. Obviously it's a bit hard when you've got straps on, but I'll basically just reach out with my finger. And then I'll use my non-working foot while I'm getting set up, just so I'm not wasting energy. Once you're all good to go, you've got a slight lean to the side, you're strapped up, what you want to think about is having your foot pretty much straight, facing straight on. We don't really need it facing out. Reason being is we're not doing like a free weight squat. We don't need to maintain our balance, so there's no benefit of it. And from there, we want to think about driving the knee over the big toe. What you'll find is, see when you're doing any sort of like leg press, if you have your foot, if you think about driving your knee over your pinky toe, you don't quite get as much range of motion. Whereas here, that allows more range of motion, thinking knee over big toe. And what I do here is when I'm doing my leg press patterns, you can keep your full foot nice and flat. That's more stable for one, which is a benefit of it, but it means less knee over toe, which will help you train the quad effectively, get more tension for the quad, and it will allow you to also get more range of motion. So I like having my foot nice and low, and I like allowing my heel to lift because it allows more bends at the knee. You can play about with it and see what works best for you. And what we want to think about here is nice and slow during the lowering phase, following any prescribed tempo I've set. Air in as we get to the bottom, and here this is where we want to double down on pulling down extremely hard on the handles. So air in, slightly into the working side, drive up and repeat the process. If you've not been given a prescribed tempo, just make sure you've got a controlled lowering phase. You're not wrestling at the top when you don't need to towards the early end of the set, and only towards the very end when you need a slight break, and then repeat that process. And then what I recommend you do here is when you're doing any sort of unilateral work, which is single arm, single leg work, which allows you to recruit more muscle, make sure you don't go right into the other leg. The reason being is you'll basically be pretty fatigued. Your ability to perform will be poor because mentally you've just put your all into a set. So if you can go straight into the next leg, your effort might not be where it needs to be. And also, it's a bit demanding on your fitness, single leg work. So having a slight rest allows you to perform a bit better. And then of course, repeat on the alternate leg.